Welcome to the Road of Stars podcast. We meet amazing creative leaders from all over the world. I'm your host, Mwenya Kawesha. I work in artificial intelligence and arts. On this show, we speak to brilliant creators, entrepreneurs, and intrapreneurs who are transforming creative industries. They share how they began and what they do to succeed in a changing world. Everyone who wants to pursue a creative life and career should have that opportunity. Together, we can make the world more creative. I'm delighted to introduce Geetika Agrawal. Geetika is a designer and founder CEO of Vacation with an Artist, VAWAA, a global platform to book creative vacations with remarkable artists and makers around the world, where you can spend one-on-one in-person time diving into a skill. From bamboo bicycle making in India and shoemaking in Czechia to natural textile dyeing in Vietnam, VAWAA is dedicated to promoting and preserving global arts and crafts and creating a new way to travel. She trained as an architect and industrial designer before a long career in digital product design. Prior to VAWAA, Geetika was a creative director at RGA, a digital design agency, where she partnered with Mastercard, Nike, AARP, and many beloved brands to transform their businesses through innovative digital products and services. Welcome, Geetika. So happy to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure knowing you and so excited for what you're doing with this podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, question one, can you tell us more about VAWAA and why it's taken the form that it has?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it took multiple forms over the years, but really what it comes down to is I'm a designer and I'm used to being sensitive to what people are experiencing in our modern culture. And one of the things I noticed is as a society, we kind of experiencing a soul crisis, where we've figured out how to take care of our physical health. We've figured out how to have our jobs and do the day-to-day, but deep inside, we're all feeling very unhappy or lonely or almost dead. And we're all looking for something to bring us to life, something that makes us feel alive and our best version of ourselves. And I've always, through my personal experiences as a designer, I've always found that creativity is a great way to express yourself and really makes you feel alive. I've never heard of a person who ever feels dead inside when they're creating something. And similarly, connection, when we feel connected to ourselves or we feel connected to people around us and our world around us, it brings us happiness and joy. And so at the heart of VAWAA, I think what we're just trying to do is address this big, large crisis, the soul crisis, and use creativity and connection to heal ourselves. The goal is also to help people become more aware of global culture and crafts and eventually promote and preserve that so we can continue to tap into it for generations to come.
Fabulous. And how does VAWAA actually work? So if somebody wants to use VAWAA, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is we curate artists from around the world. And when I say artists, these are artists, designers, artisans, craftspeople. We use kind of an umbrella term for artists. And these could be potters, sculptors, woodworkers, calligraphers. I mean, the world is filled with makers. And so we curate these makers. They're all listed on our website. And what you can do is you can sort by any art form, so jewelry, paper, performing arts, ceramics, whatever you want to find, or you can sort by destination, whether you're going to Japan or Istanbul or Chile, anywhere in the world. You find the artist that you feel drawn to. It has all the details about them, their work, what their experience involves. Typically, it's a 4 to 7 day immersion, one-to-one immersion, where you go and study with them in their studio. The entire experience is tailored to you, your skill level. So it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or an advanced. That time is for you to be guided by the artist. They help you immerse into not just the art form, the technical aspects of the art form, but their entire creative life. because the art form is not done in isolation. So when you're working with the artist, you might go out for a hike, which is where they might find inspiration or sketch. You might come back into the studio, make a few things, develop your idea, then you might go out into the market with them to buy materials for whatever you are planning to make. Or you might go hang out, eat with them in the evening, wherever they go out to eat or meet their friends. So it's not just the time you're spending in the studio, but the entire creative life and how it intersects into their day-to-day life that becomes part of the experience. So you just go to the website, find the artist you like, and then once you book, we also give you details about how to fly there, where you can stay, the other things you can do. And then all you have to do is just go there and enjoy the experience.
That's amazing, Geetika. So it's so global and innovative and immersive and accessible in so many ways. It's so many wonderful things all wrapped up in one or hopefully many experiences for the people who go on these trips.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think that was one of the bigger challenges when we were building this is there's this incredible breadth and depth of knowledge and wisdom that exists in our world, but it's so hard to access. And it's a shame in this century that we're living in that we're unable to access. We have all the information on our fingertips, but we don't have access to this kind of knowledge. So the goal was to make this easy and accessible for anybody who's interested in it, not just art students or people in the art world, but really anybody.
Amazing. And it's such a great model of creation over consumption.
Yes. We need it so much in today's times. I don't think we need more landfills.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And all of your story is fascinating. Can you take me back to your early experiences, your formative experiences that contributed to the creation of VAWAA and where you are today?
Yes, it all started for me way back in 1996 when I was in architecture school in India. And our architecture school was based on the Bauhaus principles, where there was a lot of emphasis on learning craft and the craft technology and how it intersects with society. So our entire curriculum was based on different craft forms. So we studied pottery, weaving, metalwork, photography, film. That was just part of my curriculum. And also as part of the college education, I would spend my summers traveling to different parts of India and studying with master artists for a month or sometimes longer. And I think that was the earliest influence I had on me in terms of how to travel to a place, how to understand different people, how to immerse yourself in another community and culture, how to open your mind to other perspectives. And I think it was such a strong influence at such an early age that since then, that's how I've traveled all around the world. And it's become such a deep part of me that really shaped VAWAA into what it is today.
We've spoken already about the soul, connection, humanity. From the feedback that you've gotten from both the artists and the people who go on VAWAA experiences and your own experiences, what do you think a VAWAA experience makes people feel?
They make them feel warm inside, fulfilled, and alive. And that's because they've had a chance to connect with another person who is so dedicated to helping them connect to the craft, whatever they're trying to make, their own creativity, their own expression. That as adults, we don't get to experience that in our day-to-day life. We all experienced that as little kids when our parents were so dedicated to just us. And so they have created this safe space for us to really explore, to really make mistakes, try things, learn, fail. And this person is there, this artist is there to guide you. And it's also one-on-one connection. So they're really there to serve you. It's also not just one-way exchange, it's a two-way exchange. So all the conversations become really rich because they're people from two different parts of the world. They're coming together. There are stories to exchange, ideas to exchange. And you eating together, you working together, these shared moments always make people feel very alive. And it's just really lacking in the modern society. So I think that's why people really feel very warm, alive, and kind of fulfilled because they get to do so much and experience so much in that time.
Fantastic. Because one thing that struck me as you were speaking there was burnout, really. It sounds like this is the complete antidote for so many of the stresses and what drains our energy in our modern lifestyles.
I think we're all just looking for inspiration. And we need inspiration, and we also need more faith in ourselves to be able to freely express and really find ourselves and say, this is who I am, this is what I can create, this is what how I express. And so this provides people that opportunity to explore their own boundaries, explore what's within them, but also what's outside them.
And could you share with us, Geetika, a couple of your favorite VAWA moments? So these could be for you as a CEO founder, also maybe some of the actual experiences that people have had, things that really stand out to you.
Yes, my favorite moments always happen to be hearing all the guest stories because as a creator, it always brings you joy that something that you've created is actually being used by someone and it's really bringing them joy. It's just like an innate thing in all of us. That's when you feel fulfilled. So I think when we see that there are people of all age groups who are going, so whether it's mother and son using this experience as a way to bond together, or we're seeing two brothers who are in the late 80s trying to go to a place and try to work with stone that they have never done in their lives, to some artist who's trying to learn a new skill and how they start incorporating it into their practice and seeing that progress in their artistic practice. So seeing any kind of success or anything that has transformed in these people or anything that has moved them really brings us joy. And it's not just on the guest side, but also on the artist side. We always hear from artists how this was such an enriching experience for them because as artists, they are spending so much time alone in their studio creating. And this is such a great way for inspiration from around the world to come into their studio. So it eventually inspires their work. And so whenever we hear this, to me personally, it brings me greatest joy because it means what we're doing is making an impact. Besides that, as a business, I would say it always feels great when we get recognition and acknowledgement. So when we won the Webby for Best in Travel, or when we were invited to speak at Skift Global Forum. We were the Small and Mighty, and this is the conference for the best in travel. All the big travel companies come there, and we're like very small company amongst the sea of incredible travel companies out there, and to see that VAWA was received so well by everyone in the travel industry and almost considered as a North Star for how travel should be and how what travel should enable. Feels really good, again, to validate that what we're building is really much needed in the world, especially when we start talking about things like over tourism or how do we really impact our communities in a meaningful way and sustainable way. Also, when we have had some incredible investors invest in us to really support our mission.
So there's beautiful web of connection between the VAWA guests and the artisans, and then also on top of that, getting reward recognition amongst the best of the best in travel. Really such a testament to what you've built and how effective it is.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and we're just starting. We're still very early. So there's a lot more work to do, but that definitely motivates and encourages us to keep doing it.
What do you think the role of the artists are in preserving culture, their specific skills, crafts?
Yeah, I always say, I said this line quite often, and you might have heard it as well before, is I feel artists are the fingerprints of humanity. And what I mean by that is artists are the ones, like to create anything, they are carrying the past with them because there are a lot of influences and inspiration and history and context that they bring into the work. Then they reflect the present moment to us. If you look at all the art is a way for people to channel, and it's like a mirror to what we're seeing in the world and how we're feeling. And then they imagine the future. So the imagination part of creativity is really telling us how beautiful it can be, or how apocalyptic it can be, or all the different possibilities that we want to imagine. So I really believe if someone lives in the past, present, and future at the same time, it's the artist. And it shows and reflects in the work. It reflects in any body of work that we see. It reflects in any craft techniques that we see. So, for example, if you look at this one art form, the art form of traditional bell making in Japan, these are the rin bells used for Buddhist meditation. Now, that craft has existed forever in that country. That craft is so much part of the day-to-day life. It's in the temples, it's in everyone's homes. Anyone who's meditating and has a rin bell, they're using that craft that has been used for generations. Now, in today's times, it's used in a different way than it was before. It has evolved over time. And now, because of changes in society, in culture, but also technology, that craft is continuing to evolve. And so there are new crafts that have come out of that craft. And so you have craft like Suzugami, where it's also relatively an older craft, but there you're beating the metal, because the art of making rin bells is you're basically beating metal to form a shape, and it sounds a certain way. But here you're beating aluminum to create tableware. So it's a similar art form, but it has evolved into something else.
Wow, that's really blown my mind.
I feel like it's anything that we see in the world is like anything that's created is new, is a creative process. And so I feel that's what artists and that education contributes to our society, is this ability to ground ourselves in the past, be in the present moment, and then imagine a future. And just to be a person, to live a life as a person, not necessarily as an artist, that is the best way to live, isn't it?
Absolutely. And Geetika, I'm having the classic aha moment as you say this, because we're often so taught to be afraid of the past or afraid of living in the future. It's like be in the present moment. But what you've shown is how you can connect all past, present, future in a really beautiful, meaningful way.
Totally. And history is always going to be important, and science fiction is always going to be important too. We need both, even though we are living in the present moment.
Absolutely.
Everything needs context.
So going back to your experiences as a designer, and I know you were a creative director, how did that sort of quite practically help you in terms of what it took to set up VAWAA?
Yeah, in quite a few ways than I could have ever imagined. One is just as a designer, you're just kind of used to building things out of nothing. You're just used to coming up with an idea, a vision, and then just go about building it. So I think it was pretty easy for me to think of what I wanted to build and then start building it myself. So I didn't recruit a team from the start, which would have cost me a lot. I literally just found Squarespace. I knew how to design. I knew how to write the copy. I just built, I mean, you can call it a prototype myself, and launched it within 6 months of conceiving the idea, and people could start using it. And then over time, just very quickly able to iterate on the idea, edit things, and grow. So I think that was one big part of it, is to be able to just fearlessly imagine, create, and build. The other was a very deep understanding of our customers, which is both sides, our guests as well as artists. As designers, you're always very close to the needs and the pain points of your users. And a successful product is when you're able to solve their pain points. And so that also came kind of naturally and easy to really understand their pain points. And then the third was designers kind of are very comfortable with the unknown, and building a company is all about being in the unknown, especially if you're creating something that has not existed before. So I think a lot of that comfort has also kept the anxiety low. Building a business is more than just being a designer. So there have been other kind of anxieties and pressures in building a company like this. So while being a designer has helped me in many ways, I can see a lot of other skills that are also required to build a successful business.
Yeah, that's super cool. Design, clearly what a great background for entrepreneurship. So you're a sole founder of VAWAA and you didn't initially hire a lot of people, which completely makes a lot of sense. What support and tools did you have, particularly in those early days, that helped you get going as you were trying to execute on this vision that you had laid out?
Well, now that I reflect back, I do think I should have built a team first. I think I was just too excited to keep building and kind of scratch my own itch. But to build something big and you need people. You can't be doing this on your own. So I wish I had actually done that earlier. So no one should take what I did too hard. But in terms of other tools, we live in a wonderful world these days where there's so many online tools available. There's so much amazing tech out there where you don't have to be a coder. You don't need to have all the skills. There are a lot of off-the-shelf things available. So, like I said, I'd used Squarespace. I had used Streak, which is like a CRM tool to manage all the bookings. It's just a plugin into Gmail. I'd used, of course, the whole Google suite to manage a lot of things, Calendly for scheduling. So there was just like so many tools out there that I could just start using off the shelf to start building. And we are a completely online business. So we are totally reliant on all these tools that are available online. All we need is a laptop. So, and that's only possible because of all the tech that's available these days.
That's amazing. And clearly not easy to start a business at all, but in so much more affordable, so much more accessible than if you'd been creating VAWAA 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that we're not traveling to every destination to work with these artists, we're doing it all remotely through Zoom and things. Like when we're curating artists, to have a global business, we are now in 31 countries. Without tech, it wouldn't have been possible before. And in the earlier years of this business, I was working from different countries and all I had was a laptop. There was no office, there's nothing. Even now, we really don't have an official office space because we're all distributed. So it keeps our operational and initial capital costs pretty low.
Amazing. The future of work as well, Geetika. VAWAA, I mean, it's a fantastic platform and you already have 141 artists in 31 countries. And I stress this podcast is being recorded in February 2024. By the time it goes out, I know that number will have already increased. So you're adding new artists every month. What decisions have you made that have helped VAWAA to grow and to grow effectively?
I'd say the main thing has been the idea and the product itself. I think it resonates so deeply with so many people. One of the most common things that we hear when someone hears about this is, well, why didn't I know this existed? Like, it feels so simple. Like, why hasn't this existed for all these years? And so to me, that implies that this is something that everyone can resonate with. And it's this basic idea of learning from a master. And so I think one is just a simple idea, and then the quality of the product, which has helped in spreading through word of mouth. And then the third is press. We're lucky initially to get some good press with some very good publications like Artsy, National Geographic, Vice, a lot in the creative community, which just helped spread the word quite a bit. And artist communities typically are very small and well connected. So it also helped that it was focused on a specific audience. And so it just helps create that network effect within that community.
So as in it was focused on a specific artist audience?
VAWAA is focused on vacationing with an artist. It's not like you also have athletes there or astronomer. There are so many people in the world that you could be learning from. But we have intentionally stayed focused on the creative masters, and those creative masters usually have their own community and network. And so it's been easier to stay focused and targeted in terms of the audience we're trying to reach instead of really spreading wide, where we would have to target athletes separately, people looking for life coaching separately, or retreats separately, or just a general traveler or tourist who is looking for so many different types of things. That would have become too big. But here we're just focused on the creative segment. And sometimes that focus really helps.
Yeah, I completely get that. So the different artist communities were effective in helping the scaling. And also because you have had the discipline to stay really focused, you're not spreading yourself too thin across, so many different types of potential masters out there.
Yeah, like we often get, why don't you have yoga? Like, why can't you go learn yoga from a teacher? And yes, you can. There's so many other platforms out there. You can do that there as well. But also at this time, we are just focused on these hands-on creative crafts. And there's just so much variety within that itself. So we never feel that we've run out of options. So it's niche, but it's still very large within that niche.
The number of experiences, it's almost endless once you start looking at the list. Wow. And also combined with your distributed team, your online presence, we've spoken about the importance of tech. Feels like that all combined together makes for I don't want to use the word lean, mean machine.
Yes, absolutely. The lean, mean machine really helped us also survive through the pandemic when nobody was traveling. We were just so asset light, and we have a very tight community as well. So it was easier to manage it compared to other larger, heavier operations.
Absolutely. Digging slightly into the growth side as well, all your sort of social media presence is very, very beautiful, very, very polished. How are people mainly finding VAWAA? Is it through advertising, word of mouth?
Yeah, we've actually never paid for marketing yet. We should be paying because more people should know about VAWAA. I think we've just never had those kind of budgets yet. We're still very small. We actually look much bigger than from the outside than we are, which can be a really good thing, but also not always a good thing. No, but it's mainly been we've been very disciplined about how we build a more sustainable, profitable business. So advertising can be just money down the drain without knowing where it's going and if it's making an impact. So we've invested more in organic growth. So a lot of word of mouth, a lot of organic search. People literally go on Google and search, learn X in Kyoto, or learn something in some place. When people are going, they are looking for these things. So we're kind of optimizing for organic. That's why we invest a lot of energy in improving our social, because people want to see this is a good way for them to stay in touch. Then we do our newsletter. So a lot of it so far has been these organic channels plus some press. But this year we're investing a little bit into just more press and partnerships. Again, staying more disciplined, not investing in paid advertising yet.
Super cool. Yeah, it sounds super strategic. What is the next step for VAWAA? What are you focused on in the sort of short to medium term?
Yeah, so I think till date, what we've been able to do is one was just validate the product in the market, right? So we know the product is working, people are really happy. What's been surprising to us is it's not something that people do once in their life, but people do it multiple times. So there's definitely a repeat need for it. And that also speaks to our larger mission of, yes, people want to do this because it's not like they want to feel alive once when they do this experience. This is a lifelong thing. It's a medicine for life. So they want to stay creative, and hence they want to keep doing this again and again. And right now we are serving this kind of soul crisis, as I've been talking about, just through this one product, which is you go, travel to this place, immerse for a few days, and then come back. What we want to be able to do is, and what we're starting to build out on, is how do we engage people in multiple ways throughout the year, day to day. Maybe you're just sitting at home. So during the pandemic, for example, people could engage with VAWA from home. They don't have to travel. So that's another way. And so we're developing other ways where people can engage with VAWA, continue to stay creative, continue to connect. And we're looking right now for angel investors to help us support in our next phase of growth, where we want to develop these other ways to serve our community. And also, we're adding a lot more artists and destinations because people are looking for more places to go to and more different crafts to learn from. So those are kind of the two areas where we're focused on right now.
That sounds amazing. And Geetika, for anyone who doesn't know, can you describe what an angel investor is?
Sure. An angel investor is an individual who is investing their own personal money into a cause that they believe in. And I believe based on where they live, I think there might be some minimum income threshold. And we're looking for people who are able to invest anywhere between 50K to 200K in VAWA as a way to support us. And then they stay in touch with our journey. They help us not just financially, but also with their ideas and their experience. And yeah, just become part of our extended team in taking this idea further.
The role of angel investors can be so, so powerful. And they're often investors who are just so, so deeply connected to the mission and organizations that are doing really well, like VAWA, and getting all this great traction and have really proved that there is a way to connect human beings through these art forms. There's a very exciting pitch. That's hopefully a very exciting discussion to have with prospective investors.
Yeah, we hope so too. And, we've been lucky to have been approached by some who have invested in us, and they've been incredibly helpful. And we're just hoping for more of those people to join our journey.
Yeah, 100%. And hopefully some of them will be guests as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be fun. Amazing. And Geetika, if our listeners want to help preserve great cultures and crafts, what are some of the things that they can do tangibly and practically to help?
Yeah, there are many ways to engage with this. One is to just become aware and educate yourself. So there is a lot of content that we publish, but also there's a lot of content online. It just takes a little bit of researching, learn about how that craft came to be, who are the artists, how are they connecting the past, present with the future. And I think the just more awareness we have, more we educate ourselves, it always helps take these things forward. Second is go on a VAWA, go actually spend your time learning. And you don't have to become a potter or weaver. I think just engaging in it is such a great way of immersing yourself into history, into culture, into a creative act. And it's quite a wonderful experience. And so yeah, definitely do that. Third is if you can financially support organizations who are doing work in this area. We're not the only ones who are doing work in this area. There are a lot of global organizations who have a similar mission of promoting and preserving crafts. So support them, spread the word. And if you are traveling to another place, if you are looking to buy any craft objects or any artistic objects, just dive a little bit deeper into the story of that product. Who made it? Where was it made? I think it just all starts with a little bit more curiosity around what it is, where it came from, and then it just takes its own life and it all helps in the end.
So many practical tools and things that you can actually do, which is amazing. And Geetika, for people who maybe have never been a solo traveler before, but want to become a VAWA guest, what tips do you have for helping people if they're feeling a little shy about coming and doing something by themselves?
VAWA is really one of the best platforms out there for people who've never traveled solo. And I'm not being biased here at all. The reason I say that is, yes, there are some people who've not traveled solo, and their fears most commonly are, how am I going to organize all these little details? There's so much that goes into planning. So one, what are they? How am I going to be there? Two, when I'm in a new place, what if I need help? Or what if I can't figure something out? Or if I get into trouble, what happens? Those two are the most common fears for solo travelers. And so when you book a VAWA, we guide you through everything you will need to prepare for your VAWA. So airport you want to fly into. In some cases, you will stay with the artist, but if the artist doesn't provide accommodation, we give you ideas, recommended ideas for places you can stay nearby. And those are all recommended by the artist. So they're not just random things that we've picked from the internet. We provide you with things to do. We'll tell you what currency to bring, things like that. So we help you prepare step-by-step way. Of course, you're booking all those flights and things on your own. There are very easy tools these days to book a flight. I don't think that's ever a problem. But we give you the checklist. And then once you arrive, you basically have the artist there as your point person. Think of them as your friend or your family, whoever they are. They're there with you in the studio. And then if you need anything, any help or questions or anything else, during your time there, they are your point person. They can guide you. So you never need to feel alone or that you have no one to access. And so I feel VAWA, the way it's structured, it really makes it easy for people who are traveling solo to feel safe about traveling on their own, but also have company when they're traveling solo, because I don't think solo travelers are always just craving to be alone by themselves. They still want to connect with other people when they're in a new place. And so they have someone to connect with, which is the artist in this case.
Yeah, amazing. And I think another key point, Geetika, is, VAWA has found and vetted all of these artists already. So have done so much of the homework versus trying to do all of this by yourself.
Exactly. So a lot of the burden is taken off the plate. So it really makes it easy. All you have to really do is pick the artist and commit to this is where you want to go to. And then after that, it's just about following step by step. and you have it all there. We've never had a time or never had an experience with any of our guests where they said, why did I travel solo? Or I would never do it again.
Oh, that's great. And honestly, the operational logistics of it all. So yeah, that's clearly something else that you must be really effective at to do all that work. Goodness.
Well, we just provide a list, and it's really not that hard, especially in today's times. There's so much technology available. We all have our phones in our hands. So you can be anywhere in the world, technically, and be connected to people to help you out. So there is really nothing to worry as a solo traveler as far as you following just some basic safety guidelines, just being aware of where you are and things like that, which we already vet.
And Geetika, where can our listeners find you and find VAWA?
Well, the best place to find us is on our website, which is VAWA.com, spelled as VAWAA.com. You can also just go into Google and just type vacation with an artist. Most likely, we're still number one result you'll find. You can also find us on all the social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Instagram is where we're most active. And you can also subscribe to our newsletter, our weekly newsletter, where we share new artist launches, new destinations. So that's just a way for you to stay in touch with us on a more regular basis. We also share some secret tips with our community, and that you can subscribe to from our website, VAWA.com/subscribe.
Amazing. Geetika, you have taken us all over the world. You've spoken to our souls, the past, the present, the future. We've learned about angel investing, how to set up as an entrepreneur. It's been so wonderful to learn so much from you today.
Thank you so much. It was just such a pleasure sharing it with you, and great questions.
Thank you for listening to the Road of Stars podcast and our dynamic guests. I hope you are inspired for your own creative journey. Keep connecting, keep creating.